This is the Nightshade Cult, a podcast macabre.
We bid you welcome. Enter freely and of your own will.
I'm Nick Grimm.
And I'm David Graves.
We'll be your horror host for this dissection of Mary Harron's 2000 Neo-Noir satirical quasi-slasher, American Psycho. Good
evening. I'm glad you got the word satire or satirical in there, because this really is a satire movie.
So I wrestled with keeping it in or not, because an element of satire is implicit in quasi-slasher, but I felt like it needed to be there. This was the first movie we've done in a long time that I felt like I needed to kind of invent a genre to describe it.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen this movie several times. I saw it when it was new, and I've seen it a few times since then. And I always think, man, that movie's awesome. But I don't know if I've ever sat and really analyzed it while watching it.
Yeah. It's, I had never seen it before. I don't know why that is, but I just had never watched this. And in the intervening 25 years, that's why we're covering this, is because it's hitting its 25th anniversary, probably right around the time this episode drops. Mm-hmm. And it has become like one of those cultural landmarks for like the worst kind of guys.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is one of those, like, you know, I chatted with our pal Ed about this. Like, there's certain movies like Fight Club, American Psycho, Joker, Clockwork Orange. If these are your favorite movies, it's big red flags, even though they're brilliant movies. Yeah, every one of those movies is great, but you have to understand it for what it is. It's not demonstrating behaviors that you should emulate. Yeah, and it's something that's so lost on them. Like, there's this meme I've seen where it's like, you know, like one of those who are you based on your birth month thing. Yeah. And it's for Sigma males. And it's Patrick Bateman, it's Joker, it's Tyler Durden, who's not even a real guy. Yeah. He's a delusion Ed Norton's character has. Homelander, and it's just like, oh man. Oh, boys. Like, boys are unwell. Boys are deeply unwell. Yeah, those are all just the worst, the worst role models. Yeah. I mean, all of those, I like Homelander the best just because he's so over the top. Well, he's a great character. You know what I mean? Like, and Patrick Bateman is a great character. Oh, that's true, yeah. Like, I think these are all great characters. It's when you can't tell the difference between a well-written character and a hero. Like, oh yeah, these are bad guys. Just because they're the POV character doesn't make them an aspirational figure, or it shouldn't. Yeah. And it's weird. It's this is based on a novel by Bret Easton Ellis, and Chuck Palahniuk, he's a queer man. Yeah. He kind of strikes me as maybe being the opposite of the sort of person that these guys would aspire to, actually. Yeah, he was like punching up the worst version of like a yuppie alpha male type dude that he could come up with. Yeah, and it's like, but if for the wrong, satire is just completely lost on the wrong sort of person. Oh, like, absolutely. They don't experience it as satire. They just see a power fantasy. Yeah, it's like if you have a Punisher flag and a Blue Lives Matter flag, it's like you missed the whole point of the Punisher. These things cancel each other. Same with the Don't Tread on Me and the Blue Lives flag. Yeah. Who do you think does the treading? Yeah. That's an anti-authority flag, dude. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, this movie, though, was great. I thought this was an excellent movie. And then I went and I listened to the audiobook, and that's an experience. Oh, I didn't check out the book. I would not. I don't think. No? I don't think you'd like it. It's entirely from his point of view. And okay. It is very much. It is either the mundane details of the life of one of the most shallow, vapid people you could imagine, or horrific sexual violence and graphic detail. Okay, hard pass. Yeah, it is like it's like a Game of Thrones book if every chapter is Ramsay Bolton. Okay, all right, yeah. And I was just like, It was awful. It was very unpleasant.
Yeah, I read some articles and watched some YouTube videos about this movie after watching it, and it seemed like the book and the movie are quite different. There were some things that I mean, maybe not quite different in literal chronology, but different in tone and the way, like, the book is described as being like a blunt force instrument, and this movie tends to, while being obvious to us in general, tends to still be more nuanced than the book.
Yes, and much more subtle. And it has, I mean, unmistakably, it has a woman's point of view, whereas the book is a privileged white man describing sort of the worst version of his own class. This is a Canadian woman, feminist, once removed from the subject matter, looking critically at it and satirizing and making fun of it.
Yeah.
And that makes all the difference in how I take it watching it.
Yeah, I don't know if she was satirizing the book, but more like satirizing the concept.
The culture.
Yeah. The same thing that the book was satirizing, but she did it with her voice, which is more palatable.
Exactly, yeah. And more subtle.
Yeah.
And, whatever you can imagine is worse than what you're ever going to see in a movie. And with a book, just having this stuff described in graphic detail and your mind as the cinematographer is much worse.
I mean, and even the R-rated version had stuff cut from it that was there's an unrated version floating around that has more graphic sexual violence in it than this one, supposedly.
More actually just more nudity.
More nudity? Okay.
Yeah, because that's the version, if you watched it on Prime, that's the version that's on there, is the unrated cut.
Okay, maybe that is the one that I watched then.
So like the threesome scene is longer in the unrated cut, essentially.
And that's fine. That's whatever.
Yeah.
This movie was great, and I was stoked that we were going to do it, because whenever an old favorite comes up, and I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And then I watched the movie and I liked it. That's great. Yeah. I hate it when an old favorite comes up and it kind of disappoints.
But you definitely have to be looking at it with different eyes now, 25 years older, with all your life experiences.
Oh, absolutely.
Than what you looked at it when it came out.
Yeah, like I would say, being a little bit of a reflective person, when I watched this, it was prior to me joining the military, prior to me being in a war. I was, I wouldn't say I was even really a grown-up man by that point, and I was 20 years old. So I think that I did indeed glorify in the grossness of it, but I did understand that it was over the top. It was a statement, but I actually was like, whoa, this is insane. I love it. Yeah. But now I'm like, oh my God, this is horrific. Yeah. And so I think I got it, but I didn't grok it. And now I think I do. And I guess that's a statement for maturity. And I think it actually is better now than last time.
Yeah, you get more out of it, I'm sure. Like, you understand the themes of it, whereas you're just watching the events of it when you're a kid.
Yeah. I mean, and this guy was never my type of role model anyway. Yeah. Like, he's like a rich business guy who likes music I don't like, stuff like that. Though. I mean, I do like his kind of modernist, brutalist, industrial style almost. I do like that decoration style.
And good dresser and good skincare regime.
Oh yeah, that skincare is a real big thing when you probably don't care about that when you're young though.
No, not at all. You can use one bar of soap to do everything. Even toothpaste if you're aggressive enough.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a good one. It was always on my list of, like, if someone would say, like, what are movies that you like? Yeah, this would always be on this. It'd be like Blade Runner, Dune, American Psycho, stuff like that. Mad Max movies, and so this always kind of lived in that realm of my kind of movie. And so let's take a break, and then we'll come back and jump into the dissection.
A Manhattan finance bro augments the shallow materialism of his elitist lifestyle with brutal violence and misogynist fantasies.
That's pretty much it. And I think one of the best parts is, spoiler alert, the end makes you wonder how much of it happened anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's by the end of it, we understand that he's an extremely unreliable narrator.
Yes.
I think
much of it happened.
I think some of it happened, but I don't know about all of it. I don't know about certain issues, which is strange because we just, the last movie we did was kind of like a weird, unreliable narrator, Memento, and then here we get into this one where also Patrick Bateman is not. You can't trust anything he says.
Yeah, it's he's so unreliable. Even like stuff he says emphatically, like the kind of the famous sequence where they're all comparing business cards. Mm-hmm. None of the stuff makes sense. Like they're describing fonts that aren't real fonts. These guys don't know what they're talking about.
Oh yeah,
and literally every single business card has acquisitions misspelled on it, and there's all sorts of other little errors, but they're all just drooling over each other's cards and analyzing them. But there's all these things that are wrong with the cards, and they all have the same title. They're all vice president. Everyone is the vice president.
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought it was interesting because, we've all hung around with a bunch of guys, and maybe some of the cultists out there who are ladies haven't had the insider's perspective of this. Mm-hmm. But if dudes are pulling out a possession, whatever it is, your magic cards, your G.I. Joes, whatever, and someone pulls it out, if you like them, you might be like, yeah, that's cool or whatever. But there's no way that these guys don't just immediately start shitting on each other's business cards about how lame it is. Because that's what toxic dudes do.
Yeah.
They would be like cornflower, whatever, bullshit flour. Yeah. There would be no way they wouldn't just immediately start ragging on each other and claiming theirs is the best. They would just double down. These guys are like Donald Trump mentality.
Oh yeah, I mean, the movie feels very topical in that way of all of these guys from that era, the late 80s or whatever. Now these guys are running the country. This is the whole cabinet is the whole Pearson Pierce
and I think
squad.
I think J.D. Vance probably looked at this movie like a how-to manual.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I think so many of these guys would just, who's your favorite superhero? Patrick Bateman. Wait, what?
yeah. I think they'd say Patrick Bateman in their mind, but then out loud they'd say Captain America because they know that's what people want to hear. Yeah. But it would just be a lie.
It would just be a lie. Yeah. So it's directed by Mary Harron. Is this the second or third movie directed by a woman that we've done?
Total? Yeah, I don't know. We have a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
If you look back on
Catherine Bigelow and Near Dark is the only other woman director I can think of.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm bad at remembering directors.
Yeah, and I was just every time that I watch something directed by a woman, I'm always I like this. I actually want more of this vision. I want more of this POV.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
there's been gatekeeping throughout, history in this industry and in most industries. So I would like to see more. And this movie is really great. So
yeah. I mean, and I've seen some of her other movies. She tends more towards kind of outsider, artier fare. She's an OG punk rocker from New York punk scene. Was one of the writers for Punk magazine back in the late 70s.
Dang.
Kind of went from that to being a music journalist, and then a documentarian for the BBC, and then from there into doing feature films. And I've been listening to a bunch of interviews with her. Just really cool, fascinating lady. So I've only seen her biopic about Betty Page. That's the only other movie of hers I've seen, but I'll probably track down the other ones.
Yeah, I'll admit I hadn't really heard of her before watching this, even though I've liked this movie for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not really, don't remember names and stuff very well.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so the setting of this movie, this is an 80s period piece made in the late 90s. So their perspective on what was 80s was just dead on.
Yes.
Because all of the people in this movie lived through the 80s, and most of them were adults. Some of them were young adults. And so I love how period accurate this movie is.
Yeah, and one of the interviews I heard with her today, she talked about how, because all of her movies are period movies, and how a lot of period things will go over the top and ruin the realism of it by, like, you know, like, I love Stranger Things, but like sometimes Stranger Things goes crazy with like the neon lights and like the 80s-ness of it.
Yeah.
Whereas so much of the 80s is shit from the 70s.
Oh yeah, like the look of the 80s it for every house is like wood paneling on the walls because that's what was put up in the 70s and nobody ever took it down.
Yeah, and so this movie does a good job of not being everything is 1987 or 86 whenever it's set. It's like there's a mixture of things that feels very authentic and natural.
Yeah, I really liked his his Walkman and his old style headphones and all of that, because I rocked those things in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
that was the good stuff.
And the book goes into excruciating detail about all of his electronics. Like basically the book is all him narrating things dispassionately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because he's like an alien pretending to be human and focusing on the things that he thinks are important and give him status.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in like mental health or whatever, but this guy is like a sociopath or a dark triad.
Yeah, psychopath, narcissist,
and sociopath. That's the dark triad. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he is all of the above.
All three of them.
And there's a lot of serial killers that have had all three, and yeah, this guy is seriously wrong in the head.
Yeah.
And you get a couple of and it's like his whole life is like him trying to fit in. He just wants to fit in. And like his fiance tells him multiple times, like, yeah, your dad owns the company or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
why don't you just quit this job? You don't need to work.
Yeah, and he wants the approval of these people, and they never give it to him. They all think he's like a pissant.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, this is a theme that comes up repeatedly, is all of these guys are interchangeable to the point that they don't even necessarily know who's who amongst themselves. Yeah,
they call each other by different names, the wrong names.
Yeah.
The only one's names who really stay the same is Alan, Jared Leto's character.
Oh yeah.
They never Paul Allen, and then they also never mess up Lewis, because he's like the heel for everybody. They all just make fun of him and treat him like crap.
Yeah, which I think subtextually, Lewis is a closeted gay man, and I think that Bateman is also. Like, it's not. He's definitely not interested in women at all.
Like in the sex scenes, he's glued to the mirror.
Yes, he's interested in himself sexually.
Yeah,
and he's not interested in anything about women other than the status that's gained from having them. And he never kills Lewis. Crucially, like, he goes in there to kill Lewis, and Lewis kisses him, and then he runs away.
Yeah, I mean, one of the moments in that, after he's gonna strangle Lewis, and then Lewis kisses him, and like, I think kisses his hand or something, and he goes and he starts washing his gloves, washing his hands with the gloves in it. He doesn't even know what to do when he's confronted with someone who's showing him affection.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I heard a podcast where they felt like that was because he thought he was higher status than Lewis, and maybe maybe the book is coloring this, but they have several more interactions like that because Lewis thinks that Patrick was close to coming out there, and Lewis approaches him several other times, like, to talk about their feelings. And Patrick is just like, get away from me, Lewis. Like, he's just trying to get away from him. But crucially, he never hurts him. He thinks about hurting him, but he never actually does it.
Yeah, this movie is really about violence against women and male ego. So he doesn't really know what to do when confronted with a man that he wants to hurt, but kind of doesn't.
Or fuck.
Yeah, or both. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he even knows what he wants there. So this, I mean, talk about the screenplay is by Mary Harron and Guinevere Turner, who they're writing partners. They've written a few movies together. I think it adapts the book really well. It makes the book, it improves on the book, which you almost never see, right? Like usually the book, you're like, oh, the book's so much better than the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think their screenplay takes the book and boils it down to its essence and makes it something digestible in a way that the book on its own wasn't.
I mean, I didn't read the book, but this has a lot of interesting nuance in it. I really, really love the juxtaposition and almost Jekyll and Hyde nature of his utterly banal life, just boring and meticulous about details that do not matter, and then his ultra violence and his urges, and he's just like this really just like totally different on both ends of the spectrum. There's no middle ground with this guy.
Well, and it's like he doesn't even know who he is, right? Like that comes up. He says there's an idea of a Patrick Bateman, but he doesn't exist because I don't feel anything. And it's not really true because he clearly has some sort of emotions. He just doesn't have any empathy for people.
Yeah, he basically says that the only emotions he feels are greed and disgust.
Yeah. I think he also feels shame and a lot of insecurity. You know, like he's so intimidated by Paul Allen, right? Like that he has to go and kill him.
But did he kill him?
Did he kill him? I think so. I think that's one of the murders that for sure happened because the guy disappears, and because he goes to so much is set in the apartment.
But what about the lawyer at the end that says I had lunch with him, like I saw him 3 times in London?
Yeah. Well, that guy also did not correctly identify Patrick Bateman. When he comes up to him, he thinks he's a different guy.
Oh, that's true. He does. He could have totally misidentified Paul Allen. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it is totally up to the viewer, and I think you could take it both ways multiple times. But I think he really does kill him for sure. And I think he kills the homeless guy, I think, almost for sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things that he, like, obviously the ATM doesn't tell him to feed it a cat. Like, that's a delusion.
Yeah.
I don't think the police car explodes the way
that's crazy.
That he imagines it. So, like, I think a lot of the things that he does happened, but things surrounding it are not necessarily
like he didn't shoot the doorman at the building. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't know. I mean, I'm inclined. My initial read on it was that he did all of the things that happened, but because of his status and privilege and the fact that you can't, like, the joke of that is he thinks he's running to his office the first time, and that building looks exactly the same as the office building that he works in, and he can't even tell the buildings apart. So, like, when everyone's completely interchangeable, how do you figure out who did anything? And especially, it's... Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that really plays into one of the core kind of themes of this movie, which is identity and lack of identity.
Yeah.
And how all of these people are just interchangeable drones. They don't actually have individuality.
Well, you never see him doing mergers and acquisitions, right? Like, it doesn't seem like these guys do anything besides peacock around the office.
Mm-hmm. What he said one time, he says he does murders and acquisitions.
Murders and executions.
Yeah, murders and executions. Yeah. That's pretty legit. For amusing. And nobody catches it at the table.
Well, and that's one of the things that you have to wonder if it's true or not. If he actually says those things, or if he just thinks about saying them, because no one ever reacts to the murderous things that he says, and he lets more and more of them slip as the film progresses.
That's true. What about when he throws the chainsaw at the lady down the stairwell? I don't think that happened. Well, there's no way that would have been on the news, right?
Except, I mean, so if we think it happened, the building literally covered it up in order to avoid the publicity. And just sold the condo to get rid of this thing. And there's evidence of that, right? Because there's paint in the in the closet, and the lady definitely, the realtor lady definitely seems like she knows something is up.
Yeah, something bad went down, but they don't want it to be public, so to devalue the place.
Exactly. Yeah, that this was a murderer's haven, and women were hung in the closet like coats. Does not help the value of the apartment. No. Yeah. So yeah, but you could also take it as none of that happened, and that he only realizes that none of it happened when he goes there and there's someone there. Yeah,
like he could have gone there and used it as like a hookup spot with prostitutes, and then had fantasies and whatnot, and then later on when he comes back, because Paul Allen's gone or whatever, the place had been sold or whatever, and I don't know, it's weird. It's totally an unreliable narrator, and this movie is about sanity and insanity, and so it makes you question all of these different things.
Yeah, and another theme I think is masks, right? Like because he peels his face mask off
right near the beginning. Yeah,
and there's a sequence I think when he's in a cab, maybe with Reese Witherspoon, and he's the partition between the cab driver is pulled to the side, so there's a double layer of glass in front of him, and it's distorting his face. Yeah, and we're always looking at his reflection, like the sex scene. He's watching himself in the mirror, so like that, just like you said, like duality and masks, the alternate personas.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, I like the writing in this movie. I like the screenplay. I think that the themes that the director plays with, about how like wealth and triviality and all of these things, that the trappings of your identity that are things are actually nothing. They mean nothing. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because he has his apartment is very stylish, but has no personal items in it at all.
No, it's been like staged, basically.
Yeah. He has nothing. He has no family pictures, or like, it's like even like the art there is status symbols and not things that appeal to him as much as they're just like, I have this kind of photo or a painting on the wall.
Yeah, so that we're kind of transitioning into visuals, because production and set design and whatnot. I had a thing in my notes here about that, about how the sets are obviously very intentional. Yeah. Like his apartment is a mishmash of things that are supposed to be cool or supposed to be relevant, but don't really go together or paint an identity of someone.
Yeah.
Like he has a Les Mis poster.
Yeah.
And then he has like this big thing in his hallway of like, what, Paul Revere or some colonial guy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's George Washington. I have no idea. And then he has he has all kinds of extremely stark, like black chairs, white couch, bare floors. And so none of this, like all of this taken kind of individually could be cool in a look, but together they just don't go.
Well, and Les Mis is a really interesting thing there because of what it's about, the French Revolution. It comes up a lot in the book because the play is really huge on Broadway at that moment, and going to the play or listening to the soundtrack is something that's
really cool.
That's really cool. And there's this whole elitist thing about whether you listen to the original British cast recording or the American recording, because the original British one is superior. And so, like, the Les Mis poster is, again, it's a status symbol of, like, I went to see that. I'm sophisticated, and I know that the original British cast recording is the better version of the album.
See, yeah, the modern day version of that would be having a Hamilton poster.
I saw it with the original cast before it toured.
Yeah, I saw the real Hamilton. What you saw was like fanfic. It was like a reenactment.
Yeah,
it's a cover band.
It's all about going to Les Mis and knowing the details and nothing about what it's about, because it's about people like them getting their heads cut off.
Yeah, exactly.
And probably he would just think it was cool that people got their heads cut off.
Absolutely. He wouldn't get it.
He would not get, because he doesn't get anything. I don't even know that he gets Huey Lewis. And
he doesn't get any of the music that he waxes poetic about. He just talks about its like technical level and all these things. And a lot of the things that he says about a lot of the things, especially about like Genesis and whatnot, those are just like magazine clippings.
Yeah.
That's like rock journalist talk. That is not about someone that's truly vibing to Phil Collins.
Yeah.
That none of that was legit.
Well, the one that's so funny, and it's that right before he kills Paul Allen, is the Huey Lewis one, where he talks about the first two Huey Lewis albums being a little too new wave, and too edgy for him. And
he only likes it once it started sucking.
Yeah, and it's just really funny, like, to think about that. Like, it's completely the opposite of what usually a music nerd is going to do. Like, the early stuff is so much better before it became commercial, but he thinks the commerciality of it is
better. Yeah, being mainstream and fitting in and all of that is better. It would be like if someone was trying to convince us that Saint Anger was the height of Metallica's power.
It would be the Black Album.
Probably the Black Album. Yeah,
he was like
everything before it was too raw, had a little too much punk rock attitude. They never really arrived until they got smooth with Bob Rock.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that is the Patrick Bateman take on Metallica for sure. So you brought up production designs by Gideon Ponte. He built that apartment. That's all built on a set. And they ended up building the office because the subject matter was seen as being so controversial.
They wouldn't do it in an office.
Yeah, they had an office lined up to use, and there was a Canadian morality organization that threatened to protest, basically, and so the owners of the office building reneged, and they had to set one up, essentially.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's a real interesting. The kitchen is supposed to look like a morgue. Everything like stainless steel surfaces, and it's very clinical. In there.
I have stainless steel appliances and white counters and stuff.
Yeah, but you don't have stainless steel counters.
That's true. No, they're white quartz.
Next level. So you can just
hose
sanitize
it off,
the whole thing. Yeah. Cinematography was by Andrzej Sekula, who we've talked about in the past, doing the cinematography for Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And same combative relationship here, where he had different ideas about how to light things and where to put the camera. And it sounds like he is just a cantankerous old Polish man.
Who thinks he knows how to do it.
Yeah, and he argues with directors. He's someone that tries to assert his influence and has to be kind of dominated into doing what the director wants.
Well, I mean, the movie looks good.
The movie looks good. So, like, there's something to be said for that. But
yeah, he had his artistic vision.
Yeah, and I think there's a reason Tarantino didn't keep working with him. And
but I think Reservoir Dogs looks amazing.
Yeah. So maybe there's something in that in that friction that by both advocating for their ideas, the best thing wins out.
Sure. But who wants to work with someone like that who's always just battling you? It's good when you can work with someone who's
A collaborator.
enjoyable to work with. Yeah.
I agree. But can't argue with the results.
That's true.
Good stuff came out of it. Costume design by Isis Masudin. Hopefully I'm saying that last name right. Who is the costume designer for Wheel of Time. I know that's a show you've been watching.
I've been watching the season 3, and it's been the best season yet. This show has gotten better and better every season.
Yeah, I think the farther you get from the pandemic, the fewer problems there are, probably. The clothes look great.
Yeah, everybody looks awesome.
A lot of designers that are mentioned by name in the book did not want to have their brand names said out loud or tied to it. Everyone wears Rolex watches, but they wouldn't let their name be used. You couldn't say, like, he says,
don't touch the watch.
Yeah. In the book, it's don't touch the Rolex, because they were like, you can use the watches, but we don't want to have our name mentioned in this.
Everybody knows what it was.
Yeah,
there's one primo super brand of mainstream watches. There's lots of niche options, but
and the suits all look very sharp.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah,
everybody wants to look sharp like that. It's like John Wick movies. Everyone always comments on the suit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very stylish. Very physically fit, man. If you like looking at men in suits, this movie has a lot for you to look at.
Yeah. Lots of dudes wear good-looking guys in good-looking suits. So, I think that the movie looked really good, and that was super important because one of the themes of the movie is appearances and the falseness of appearance and the hollowness of appearance.
Yeah.
Like going to kind of a, not a lower end, like not a high end restaurant, but a restaurant known for really good food. Yeah. That was not okay with Paul Allen because the quality of the food isn't as important as being seen in the place.
He's very upset when they go to the Texarkana and there's no one there to see them there.
Yeah.
Although that is the point, is just to have a reservation on record between him and Halverstand.
Yes,
and no one to have seen them there. That's why he took him there. But that was the only restaurant they went to that I felt like I probably would want to eat there.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to eat there too. When I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, that looks good."
The first restaurant they eat at, that's like the opening sequence of the movie with all the like the little dots of sauce all over the plate.
Yeah.
I honestly I like going to nice restaurants, but I very seldom have a good experience at a fine dining restaurant because it's so stuffy.
It's performative cooking,
and you eat so little and pay so much.
Yeah, it's like you got to stop at Taco Bell on the way home.
Yeah, and so that first restaurant, I just think like, oh. Yeah, no, none of this looks good to me, but Texarkana seemed like a good hang.
All right, Cultists, in the comments, fine dining or Taco Bell? What's it going to be? or Texarkana, whatever.
Yeah, if that's an elevated Tex-Mex is.
I would go with the elevated Tex-Mex 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, that's all I kind of have on the look and style of this movie, because you already mentioned the peeling of the face mask, which was a literal representation of seeing like under his skin or whatever. I loved that scene. That scene was super important to this movie, and it's important that it happened near the beginning.
Yeah, oh for sure. And it's it's one of those things where you're kind of stating the theme of your film there. I like a lot of the outdoor photography. Mostly this is filmed in Toronto, but obviously there's some establishing shots in actual Manhattan because we see the Twin Towers and stuff. And it's very very analog looking. I don't know how to. It looks old. Like the way they film it. There's the film grain coming through or something. It looks like a classic. it's got such a tasteful aesthetic to it that pulls you back to older movies.
It makes me feel like this movie's from the 80s.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's from 2000.
Yeah, it feels so authentically in its time.
Yeah, it's kind of like when a band like is playing a retro style and they're playing all vintage gear.
Yeah,
you're like, sounds right.
Yeah, those tube amps, it's the warmth of the tube,
and these old lower output pickups that don't have that same sizzle and crack. You know, just anyway. So speaking of sizzle and crack,
there you go. Perfect
this
segue.
Audio, holy crap! There's some good songs on here. We've got David Bowie, Phil Collins, The Cure, New Order, Robert Palmer. We just got this is a really good soundtrack.
It is. It's a controversial soundtrack. They had to recall the records after they'd already shipped out.
Well, a lot of artists didn't want their name on this, right?
It was Huey Lewis who had allowed Hip to Be Square for the movie, but did not know that they were going to release a soundtrack album. And so the records were shipped and were in stores, and Huey said, no way, no dice. And they had to recall them, destroy those copies, and reissue without Hip to Be Square.
So if you have one on vinyl with Hip to Be Square, that's got to be worth something.
Ooh, actually, I'll pull that up on Discogs. Let's see what those sell for.
That seems like that would be pretty cool to have, an original, real deal. Yeah. It'd be kind of like, this very American Psycho to only want the good one.
Yeah, I have the recalled soundtrack to American
that
Psycho.
Has the best song. It's probably not the best song, but it's a good song.
How do we feel about Huey Lewis? Because I loved Huey Lewis as a kid, right? Like, because it's one of those he's got a couple songs on the Back to the Future soundtrack that were just seared into my mind as a kid.
It's pop rock, and it's not my fit. Like, The Police is my kind of pop rock, not really Huey Lewis. I don't like it that much, but I don't dislike it. I have nothing bad to say about it. It just doesn't really resonate with me.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But Phil Collins.
I know Genesis. You like Genesis. I like Genesis. Yeah. Genesis better than Phil Collins, but Phil Collins good. Obviously Bowie and The Cure on here. Winners, New Order.
Yeah. And is it Daniel Ash has a solo song on there, and there's cool club music like Mars, Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah.
A lot of good needle drops. Actually, like the scenes where they're in sort of New York dance clubs and stuff are cooler than the clubs that they actually go to in the book. Like,
he doesn't belong in any of those clubs. Those are not for him.
Yeah, but again, just going to the hippest places. That's the thing that's the most important to him. Because when they talk about in the book anyway, they talk about going to different clubs, and he's like, that one's not hip anymore. Like, they have to go to whatever the hippest club is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then the score itself is by John Cale from the Velvet Underground. Great score. It kind of alternates between like kind of classical chamber music and anxious sort of noir style. I don't know what to call it, but like some of the, especially later in the movie, some of those things, as he's becoming more and more paranoid, and the music is reflecting it. I really like Cale's score for this.
I really like that it was the score was largely invisible.
Yeah,
it blended in, and it really worked with the movie. It didn't take you out of the moment and make you think, oh, the music here, whereas the actual soundtrack songs, those ones, you're supposed to notice them because he's talking about the music. And
so those, I haven't mentioned this yet, those are all chapters in the book. Like, he has a chapter on Huey Lewis, he has a chapter on Phil Collins, and he has a chapter on Whitney Houston, who would not allow her music in the movie.
I think it's funny that they make fun of him for liking
Whitney Houston. Yeah, and I think they play an instrumental version of the song there because they could get the rights to that. But
I wonder why she didn't want to be in the movie. It's a blockbuster.
I mean, it was successful, but it was also very
brutal,
very controversial. The book was very controversial, and it is, as we said, it's a movie about violence against women.
That's true. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. But by taking those chapters and having them be monologues he does before he kills someone is a real effective way to get the text from the book into the movie and tie it all together, so it becomes like his like Nicholson Joker Dance with the Devil thing. Like, it becomes this thing. If he starts talking to you about his favorite artists, he's about to kill you. Absolutely.
And those moments were really high points of the movie. I think that Christian Bale really flexed in this movie. It was a really, really good performance.
He was a working actor since he was a kid, but this goes directly to him becoming Batman and him being a movie star.
Yeah.
He was not really a movie star at this point, and the studio wanted other people for the role.
Yeah, this movie was with Mary Harron, and then they got rid of her because she wanted to cast Bale, and then they got Oliver Stone and Tom Cruise. Was it? It was some other big star.
Well, no. So Tom Cruise is who I think we're moving into performances. We keep setting up these.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah.
Tom Cruise was who he based his performance on.
Okay.
The sort of over-the-top friendliness and performative stuff that he like human performance art.
Yeah.
But yeah, to what you were saying, I think the original first person to start talking about it was Johnny Depp, very close to when the book came out. And then for a while it was Cronenberg was attached to direct.
All right.
with Brad Pitt, I think, starring in it. And then that fell apart, and Mary Harron took it over, and she cast Christian Bale. And then Lionsgate wanted DiCaprio to do it.
Yeah, that's it. DiCaprio, yeah.
And when she wouldn't even meet with DiCaprio, both her and Christian Bale were fired from the thing. And Christian Bale never stopped preparing for it. He just manifested this into reality. Like, everyone is saying that ship has sailed. We're not going to get to do it. And he's like, no, I'm still working. He got caps on his teeth, so he didn't have his British teeth anymore. Changed his body, just completely reinvented himself for this role, and never stopped believing that he was going to get to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he really embodied this role. This was crazy.
It's a total physical transformation, an accent, crazy, just like he makes himself sweat. You know, like people cry on command, and that's already considered high acting, but like
he can just sweat.
He breaks out in flop sweats, like when he's being questioned by the detective, or when he sees Paul Allen's business card. He just like looks like he's shitting his pants, and it's just an incredible performance. It's just,
he goes full on method, like just living this, the maniacal looks on his face that he gives, and then the just completely blank looks, just the full spectrum. I really liked it.
I was trying to listen to the new Robert Palmer tape, and my supposed fiance was buzzing in my ear about something.
Yeah, he treats her pretty bad.
Yeah, and Reese Witherspoon is a woman of quality. That's not a way to treat anyone, but especially not a Reese Witherspoon.
So then we got like his trio of jackasses, Justin Theroux, Josh Lucas, and Bill Sage as Timothy Bryce, Craig McDermott, and David Van Patten. These are his bar buddies.
Yeah. Boy.
They suck.
What a bunch of shitheels. I love Justin Theroux. He's someone I think of as being he's sort of a style icon to me in real life. I think he's a very cool looking guy. But boy, I hate these guys.
I would not like any of these dudes.
I think these guys are so fucking awful. And so that means good job. Good job to Theroux, Lucas, and Sage, because they do a great job of being a bunch of vapid pricks.
Yeah, they successfully pull off a terrible jackass and make everyone hate them.
Yeah, and I like I think it's Bryce is sort of his Bateman's best friend, who he's sure is having an affair with his fiance.
Yeah,
but doesn't really care because he's not interested in anything. Like, he has no emotional attachment.
Yeah,
to her
he doesn't
at
even
all.
really care about her.
And he's having an affair with Courtney, the redhead guy's girlfriend. Yeah, what a great bunch of jackasses.
Yeah, these are people that you would not like if you met.
But on the other side, we got Chloe Sevigny as Jean Bateman's secretary, and one of the only like actual humans in the whole thing.
Yeah, she's like a normal lady who kind of puts up with his really bad behavior in the hopes that like maybe there's a nice guy in there and she'll get to know him, and then turns out he's terrible, and she figures it out.
Sort of. Like, she
stays employed, but she leaves when he invites her over.
Yeah, because Witherspoon calls.
Yeah. And he's just unrepentant about it.
Yeah, and it's one of the only times that he kind of cracks and is like, if you stay, I think I'm going to hurt you. And I mean, he was literally standing behind her with the nail gun.
Yeah.
And so I don't think she, until later when she finds his notebook, really sees how close to danger she was there. But I think Sevigny plays it just beautifully, like the sort of naivete, and she sees the best in him despite no evidence that it exists.
Yeah, I mean, she gives a pretty good performance. I think this was the only character that I thought like, okay, it's kind of a normal dude or lady, normal person.
Yeah.
A person, I guess dude could be either.
Yeah.
She's just a person that I could hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah, and she a little bit aspires to their lifestyle, but she also, like, when he asks her what she wants to do, she wants to travel, like, she has things.
She wants to do stuff that regular people want to do. You know?
Yeah, she doesn't want to just collect things and kill people.
Yeah, like have a cool apartment that overlooks things and like it.
Yeah.
And then travel and do things, you know?
Yeah, that's because when he goes to Paul Allen's apartment and he's upset that it has a view of the park.
Yeah.
Not because it has a view of the park, but because he knows it's more expensive.
Yeah, just because it costs more.
Yeah. Who's next on your list?
I got Reese Witherspoon as Evelyn Williams, his fiance.
Yeah.
Who he despises basically, and she kind of treats him pretty poorly. Like, she's not. Yeah, she's not especially good at being in a relationship, and neither is he.
Neither of them give a shit about the other person.
They're both like furniture to the other one.
Yeah, accessories. Yeah,
they're like, I need an ex. I need a person. I need a, neither of them seem to want to get married.
Yeah, but it is the next step. It's the logical next step for them. Mm-hmm. And, like, he doesn't want it. He's like, I can't take the time off work.
Yeah.
And like the scene, obviously, like, I think probably their best scene together is the one at the Crayon restaurant where he breaks up with her or whatever. And she's like crying there, and he's like, I have to return some videotapes. And
I have to go.
Yeah.
Where?
I've assessed the situation and I'm leaving.
Hey, I've been there before.
Yeah. Sometimes that's all you can say.
It's like, I gotta go. Where are you going? Anywhere but here.
Yeah, but, I don't know. Reese Witherspoon is really good. She's a really great actor, and she's always good whenever you see her. Yeah,
she played this part really well. She's supposed to be vapid and shitty.
Yeah.
And she is.
Not much to say about Samantha Mathis, who's doped up
she's
all her scenes.
Just high the whole movie.
But, I mean, a convincing, like, Valium zonked debutante. And then Matt Ross as Lewis Carruthers, her closeted fiance.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of time with him, but I think that's a really good sort of.
I have a hard time believing that he's gay in the 80s because look at that haircut.
Yeah.
He'd be way more stylish, I think.
He does have this like
it's just
sort
a bowl
of like
cut.
bowl cut, parted down the middle, red hair. But that's sort of the thing is everyone makes fun of him for being the least cool of all of them. But I think it's an interesting performance if you go back and watch it with the idea that he is in love with Patrick and thinks Patrick is secretly in love with him.
Yes.
Because like there's all these things where he's like, oh, what's Carruthers doing over there? And he's like, he's glaring at him hatefully.
He's looking at me.
Yeah, and Carruthers is like waving at him, like, and all those interactions are really subtle when you come back and look at them a second time.
Yeah, I should apologize for that harmful stereotype that gay people are stylish and cool.
I've known a number of gay people who were
not stylish. I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, classic example when I used to do that public access show with my pal Richard.
Yeah, I
back
remember
in the day,
him.
and I remember
he's like a gutter punk.
Yeah, when I said I was like, you can't be gay because gay people dress nice, and you look like a bum.
Yeah, I remember hanging out with him. I was like, wow, Nick's friends with a gutter punk. This guy stinks.
Yeah, he's wearing another pair of jeans under the pair of jeans with holes in it, like a homeless person.
Okay, yeah. So that stereotype is definitely wrong. Yeah, and then we got Jared Leto. Excellent performance. He's such an ass clown. Like, I hate this guy, and I understand why Patrick Bateman hates him, but he's jealous of him. He doesn't hate him for being fake and lame and elitist. He hates him for being better than him at the same game.
Yes. That's totally what it is. And I mean, I don't even know if this counts as acting for Jared Leto because I think it's who he is.
That's just kind of how he rolls.
I think he actually is this person, but it is one of his iconic roles. I just love.
He's good in most movies he's in. Like, I never have a problem with his performance. It's always pretty good,
especially when he's a villain in something. I think.
Yeah, if he plays a sharp dressed man who's smug and looks down on you, it's like perfect.
Yeah, no, that was the right guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love him drunk on Coronas, looking down and seeing all the newspaper. around
Why is the lifestyle section on the ground? Do you have a dog?
Yeah.
That was so good.
If you were going to choose your last words, do you have a dog or a chow or something? It's probably not what you would have picked.
Oh, yeah. That performance was really good. And then that brings us to Willem Dafoe.
My fave, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love Willem Dafoe. He's so good in everything.
Yeah. So Donald Kimball... they shot all of his scenes 3 ways. So they did a take where he didn't suspect Bateman. They did a take where he suspected him, and they did a take where he knew he was the killer.
Okay.
And then edited them together so that they don't all match. That's why sometimes
he's like really chill and like cool with them, and other times he's like
I got your number.
Yeah. He's just giving him the business.
And so, the way Dafoe played it and the way they edited that all together just works so well. And it's, I mean, what do they have? Like, he has maybe 3 sequences in the movie.
Yeah.
But he brings, I was waiting for him to put the hammer down, like the whole time. From the time he's introduced, having not seen it before, not read the book, I thought, oh, this guy's going to get him. Like, and I was just waiting for, like, when does he pull the trap and get him?
Yeah, but he was a PI and not a cop. If he was a cop, I think he would have dragged him in. Yeah. But as a PI, he's only hired to report back.
Yeah.
He doesn't ever have to get him, right?
That's true. Yeah, he's not actually he's a detective, but he's not
of the private variety.
Yeah, exactly.
He just has to report back, and I just love Dafoe and like everything he does. So, and then we got Cara Seymour, who played Christy, the prostitute that got done wrong. And the performance is super genuine, right?
Yeah, like, oh, Christy. I was rude. Like, again, having never seen this before.
Oh man, yeah, because he hadn't got totally twisted in the first scene.
I was rooting for her to escape so bad, like, and so he's chasing her with the chainsaw, and she gets to the stairs, and I thought she did it. She got away, like, and I was celebrating, and he drops the chainsaw, and I thought, well, there's no way you can't.
There's no way.
There's no way you could hit it. And then, like, when the camera does the kind of like a Hitchcocky sort of shot down the stairwell, and I was like, she didn't get away. He got her. Like, I was just like, I just couldn't believe it that he got her.
See, I think that the notebook that Gene is reading at the end are Bateman's fantasies, how he wanted certain things to turn out, or how he thought they could have, or whatever. Like, and there's the picture of the body with the chainsaw or whatever drawn in there, scribbled. And so I think that was his fantasy. I don't think happened.
Think it actually happened.
I think the book is his fantasy of the way, like the the whole deal. Like, I should have said blah 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 blah. Like, after the fact, like, I would have been so cool if I said, would be like, oh man, I should have thrown the chainsaw at that bitch. She would have totally died. Yeah. And then he drew it, and then he convinced himself, and that's what happened in his mind.
Yeah, I mean, that's plausible. Or
I'm hoping that she got away.
And it's all, like, there's a few times, like, where you see him in his apartment, and he's got some movie playing in the background, and he has Texas Chainsaw Massacre playing in the background, and then he has a chainsaw either acts it out or has a chainsaw fantasy, right?
Yeah.
And like, he has porn with like a threesome going on, and then he goes and hires sex workers to have a threesome with.
Yeah, I think that there was a measure of fantasy in there that.
Well, and that absolutely could be. And then the last person I have on my list there is Guinevere Turner, the co-writer of the movie, as Elizabeth, who is the second girl in the second threesome.
Okay.
That he kills. So, I mean, hopefully none of it happened.
Yeah, right? Hopefully this was all just a dream. No, I don't think it was.
Think so. I think it happened. But I don't know. So,
what was the most disturbing, before we get into all of this stuff, what was the most disturbing kill of the movie for you?
The most disturbing?
The one that made you go, oh!
I mean, I guess it is Christy.
Christy?
Yeah, because I really thought she was going to get away. And so having it snatched, like, I was so invested in her escaping that when it got snatched away, that hurt. The homeless guy, too, Al, is a rough one.
Yeah, I think it says something about me that the one that really made me like really like was the dog.
Oh, he stomps the dog.
When he stomps the dog to death, I was like, ugh, no, you can't do that to the dog. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, so
it is one of those things. That's just a rule of cinema, right? If someone kills a dog, that they're an irredeemable.
Yeah, it's save the cat, kill the dog. Yeah. It's just you don't do that.
The cat does crucially get away. The cat that the ATM wants to eat.
That's true. He does. The cat gets away,
but the old lady gets shot. But it's okay because I don't like old people.
I do like dogs, though.
Yeah, I do. He picked up that cat. That's another. There was so many times that, like, my heart is in my throat watching this movie.
I was petting my cat while he picked that cat up. I was like, no.
It's like, and it's just a kitten.
It's so young.
Oh, it's so bad. These are the things that disturbed us. What is your personal highlight of the movie?
A very disturbing scene that we, you were talking a bit about it before, and I hushed up because I knew I was going to use it as my personal highlight. It's the Paul Allen scene in the apartment. It's so amazing. It's the quintessential scene of the movie. To me, this is the scene of the movie. He his musical commentary while he's putting on the clear rain slicker over the suit, how he just it has his utter loathing and jealousy of Paul Allen. It's in his apartment, his shrine of materialism.
Yeah.
And it's utterly hollow, like his hollow lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then it brings it in with the intense brutality of this axe, and the blood splash up on his face. And it's just like, this is American Psycho.
Yeah.
Like, I love that scene.
That picture of his face with the blood splatter on it is one of the iconic images. So this is also my scene.
Okay.
And I have no backup. It was the only
scene
choice.
of the movie, yeah.
It was the only choice. The way it's paced out, the way it's set to the Huey Lewis and the News, his little dances.
Yeah, he dances through it. His little shimmies and stuff is so perfect.
Yeah. And Paul's kind of starting to notice the things that are out of order, like the newspaper down. There's also drop cloths over the furniture. Like, this is so premeditated that the axe is beautiful and polished.
Yeah, it's totally polished.
And it's just and the way he delivers the Huey Lewis monologue, and he's getting more excited as he gets further, and he's talking faster and kind of like skipping through the prepared remarks to get to the part he wants to get to. Immaculate. It is
really,
the best
really
scene
good
in the movie.
For sure.
Well, what worked for you?
A lot of things in this movie work for me. I love the sterile style and vibe of the movie itself.
Yeah.
But in particular, all of the sets, they all feel perfect for the movie. Like, his office is boring and sucks. His apartment is rich, but is just sterile. It's like a doctor's office. It's like a morgue.
Like IKEA. It's nicer. It's a Dania.
Yeah. And this is just like the whole vibes of the sets and the way that they make it look. I also have the music. I love the soundtrack, how Bateman's analysis of the music tells you so much about him as a character. It tells you how utterly soulless he is. And it's like he talks about the things that don't matter at all.
Yeah.
And he wants to sound like a true connoisseur of fine music, but that ain't it.
But it is the most accessible pop rock imaginable.
Yeah, it's just so terrible. And then finally, of course, the performances. This is not a movie about special effects. This is not a movie about crazy plot turns. This is a movie about actors acting their asses off.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
It's almost a single-hander just for Christian Bale. Other people come in to help him.
They have their moments.
Yeah.
But he really carries this on his back. So how about you? What were for you?
Yeah. I'm going to say the same things in a different way. My first one is Christian Bale. He becomes a movie star after this, and it well deserved.
Of course.
And it becomes known. Full body transformations become a thing that he's known for doing. Like, he can be Patrick Bateman, who looks like cut from marble, or then be Dick Cheney and become a melted candle of a man.
That's true. Or watch The Machinist.
Oh, yeah. He gets so skinny. Yeah. So Christian Bale is incredible in this movie. Again, the aesthetics, and I'm talking about the cinematography, the fashion, the way it captures this 1980s New York look so perfectly, but also harkens back to like classic noir films. It's like the way the city's so foggy and the way it's portrayed. I just think the movie is aesthetically beautiful.
It is.
I think it is a great adaptation. It's very rare when the movie improves on the book, but I think this is one of those examples.
Nice.
Where it is adapted to be, it's better than the thing it's adapting. And finally, the music. I like John Cale's score, and I like the needle drops and the way they are so often tonally out of sync with the movie. Like when he walks into the office with Walking on Sunshine playing in his headphones, it's like it's unsettling. It's more unsettling than if he was listening to like Cannibal Corpse or something that you imagine an axe murderer listens to. Like that he listens to such upbeat poppy music while his head is in the darkest place possible.
I mean, Cannibal Corpse fans are total sweethearts.
Usually, yeah. Death metal. I mean, that's sort of pretty well established that people that listen to death metal are sensitive. Sensitive people. This has been studied thoroughly. Yeah. No, it's the people that listen to pop music that you need to worry about. Yeah. Well, what didn't work for you?
I think I'm just, I'm just going to state the obvious. This is a movie about violence against women. Not into that as a concept. I don't really need the prolonged sex scenes and whatnot. I will say that in the first one, it feels like a prolonged sex scene, but then they sort of leave out the violent aspect when he goes in for round 2 and it's just pure violence because it happens off screen. You just see some battered people leaving and I really appreciate that. Because I mean that's probably an example of good filmmaking. You don't have to show it.
It's worse to not show it.
Yeah, your imagination can do more because he's grabbing like a coat hanger, and you're like, "The fuck's he gonna do with that?"
Yeah.
And so it's deeply disturbing. Some of the themes brought up here about self and violence and all of these things. I don't think those are negative because that's the point of the movie. Yeah. But they're not. This isn't a chill movie that you put on when the family comes over.
Right.
You know, like this is a thing that you are, you're checking out because it's just cinematically excellent, but you have to be ready for these harsh themes. So I guess the minor nitpick would be, I think there are some scenes that could have been trimmed. It was a little longer than it needed to be, maybe about 15 minutes too long.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And that's probably, did you watch it on Prime? So you watched the extended version.
Okay, well then I probably should have watched the theatrical.
It's a little better, yeah.
So what about you? What didn't work?
Again, this is what did not work for me, but it is thematically appropriate, and I don't think it's something that's actually wrong with the movie. It's just something that I found upsetting, and that was the lack of consequences. So, like, when you get to the end of the movie, like we talked about it a little bit ago, Christy not getting away, I found very upsetting. And then when you get to the end of the movie, and he goes to talk to the lawyer, who he's confessed everything to, and the guy just thinks it's a joke, and won't even entertain what he's saying, and he goes and sits down with his friends, and the inner monologue voice tells us, I'll never escape from this life, and there's never going to be any consequences for my actions, basically. I forget the exact words. And I just found that so upsetting, like when the movie ended, that there was no comeuppance at all. And
this movie doesn't give you clean resolution.
Yeah, and I just internally needed or wanted that so badly. And then when I got to the end, and it was like, and he just goes and sits down and drinks scotch with his buddies and continues killing people. There will be no end to this.
Or he ends his fantasies and lives in reality, or continues fantasies. I don't know.
Yeah, but there is just no resolution.
Yeah,
it just ends without resolving.
That's true.
Which is thematically the point. That is the statement that they're making. So this is not a fair criticism, but it didn't work for me, and so that's what I got for that.
Okay.
All right. So, final thoughts.
It's a tough one because I feel like this movie is really, really good. It's amazing, actually. There are a couple of little things about it that make me teeter on if it's a 5-star movie, but I'm just going to commit and go with 5 stars.
You're going with 5. Okay. So I'm going to go 4.
Yeah.
And it's... So we've just reversed what we did with Memento.
Yeah.
And this was very cuspy for me.
Like, it's close.
It's very close to being a 5-star movie, but it just didn't quite get over the hump to me, but it is superb. So,
yeah, I liked it better than Memento, but I understand why someone might like it the other way.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, so the IMDb gives it 7.6, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 68, and Prime Video gives it 7.6. None of them liked it as much as I did, or you did, actually, but that seems weird because this movie's treasured. Like, when you talk to everybody, it's like a cult classic at this point. It's a 25-year-old movie that everyone agrees, oh, yeah, that's good.
It is, I forget in what ranking, but it is considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Yeah, it's really good.
But it definitely has always had its detractors. There have been people who kind of slagged it off right from the start. Certain people came around. Roger Ebert came around on it. He was a negative at first and then came to appreciate it. And a lot of people have done that. But it is, it's a movie. It's still to this day, I think, a polarizing movie.
I can see that, why some people might like it and other people might like it less. But let's take a short break and then we'll come back with The Vault of Darkness.
Before we delve into the Vault of Darkness, we ask that all initiates of the cult follow us on your favorite social media platforms at Nightshade Cult.
If you've enjoyed this content, help us grow the cult by sharing it with like-minded people. Leave us a review wherever you listen. Also, subscribe to this channel. That helps.
That does. Ring the bell and smash the like or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have any dark tidings?
No. My vault is sort of dark tidings-ish.
Okay.
So
I have one, and it's stale because it's from December, but it was very relevant, and that was that Austin Butler is sort of poised to play Patrick Bateman in Luca Guadagnino's upcoming adaptation of American Psycho.
Oh, a new adaptation. I think Austin Butler could do a good job.
I think he could do a good job because I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
I have a weird, like, I kind of don't want to see him in this role.
Yeah.
Like, I have this, like, oh, no, not Elvis, not...
Yeah, but he's also Fade.
Yeah, but he's unrecognizable as Fade Ralph.
I mean, I recognize him immediately.
Yeah.
He's no Sting.
Yeah, that's true. I had a sort of like, oh, no, not Sweet Austin. It's sort of like the thought I had. But, yeah, this is interesting. Lionsgate is looking to make a new adaptation, not a remake, because it's an adaptation of a book.
Yeah.
And obviously, Luca Guadagnino is going to have a very different take on it than Mary Harron did.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's been any progress really on this, but there's a script from Scott Burns, and this is something that seems to be happening. Like, so this seems to be what Guadagnino is going to follow up. I don't know if this will be his follow-up to Queer, or if I've heard that he's also looking to do the Sergeant Rock movie, so maybe that's in between. But this is something that's coming, and maybe with Austin Butler.
I'd check that out.
Yeah. So what are you pulling out of the vault?
All right, so I like anime pretty unrepentantly.
Okay.
And when this podcast episode drops, the results for the Crunchyroll anime of the year will be just revealed. So I don't know them now.
You don't know what they are.
But I was looking at the, and this is the whole anime awards, right? There's dozens of categories, maybe not dozens, maybe a dozen. Anyway, I just focused on the anime of the year, and there are 4 on there that I really like. And I've talked about one of them before in a standalone from the vault. So I'll just briefly say that. Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling might be the best shonen to come out like in a decade. It's just so good. Everyone loves Solo Leveling, and I did a whole thing about it earlier. So you can listen to the past episodes. So I'm going to talk about 3 other ones real briefly that are in the running. Dan to Dan. You could see this on Netflix, I think, if you want. It's about 2 high schoolers, Momo and Okarun. One is she's from a family of mediums, and he's like an occult geek that believes in aliens and all this stuff. And they argue and become friends, and eventually crazy things happen. They get abducted by aliens. There are spirits that come and do crazy things, and they're doing all this insane chicanery. It's basically like, I guess I would say it's sort of like a almost like a Studio Ghibli sensibility on a Rick and Morty wackiness level, like how it just goes nutso. And they do get kind of lewd and kind of crude, which Ghibli would never do, but obviously Rick and Morty certainly would. So yeah, I mean, Dan to Dan, very good. The first episode got me. It was kind of like a little bit, I don't know, because the characters were a little bit sexualized by the aliens, and I don't get down with that because they're canonically children. They're high schoolers, which they're cartoons. They're not real people, but you know what I mean.
That is something you just sort of have to take with animes.
Yeah, but after that, it just kind of gets insane, but insane in the very best of ways. Like, one of the characters is possessed by an evil spirit called Turbo Granny, and he gets these crazy powers from Turbo Granny. It's really amusing. I highly like it.
Solo Leveling, Dan to Dan.
Dan to Dan, and then we got Delicious in Dungeon, also on Netflix. Everyone likes this one.
Yeah.
They're just dudes in a fantasy world. They get defeated by a dragon, and they have to and they're like journeying and questing through a dungeon and surviving by cooking the monsters that they find. It's that simple.
Delicious in Dungeon is so much fun.
Yeah, you gotta check that out. And then this is a pick for Nick. I think you would, I don't know if I say love it, but you might fucking love it.
Wow.
It's called Kaiju number 8.
I've seen the previews, but I have not watched that.
I fucking loved this show.
Really?
Like, I thought it was dope. It's about this guy named Kafka he's like 32 years old, so he's at the oldest age that you're allowed to join the Japanese Defense Force, which fights against kaijus. And his childhood friend Mina is a member of that defense force. But he ends up joining instead the kaiju cleanup team that goes in and cleans up the corpses of the kaijus. And he learns all about their anatomy and what not to do, and all this stuff. And it's pretty clear he's a hero, and he's learned all this stuff about the kaiju. He eventually becomes a kaiju fighter, and then craziness occurs with him and a kaiju, and a mysterious kaiju number 8, and then they later come up against another kaiju number 9. And this show is really good, and I cannot wait for the next season of it. Between Solo Leveling and Kaiju number 8 and Dan to Dan, oh man, they're so good. I might have to choose Solo Leveling, but the other 2 are right up there. I like Delicious in Dungeon for fun.
Yeah, these were all kind of on my radar. As Solo Leveling, obviously your wife Carrie is a big supporter of that show online, and I definitely had heard about it, and I see these other ones, but I just had not, other than Delicious in Dungeon, I haven't watched any of these.
I would say these 4 anime they're new, and they're all good, and there isn't like a huge backlog of them.
It helps so much if there's not 100
like if you
episodes.
just go and grab Kaiju number 8, there's one season. You just watch it and it's awesome, and you know there'll be more because it was so good. Same with Dan to Dan, and Solo Leveling has 2 seasons now, I think, and but they're not that long, and all the episodes are short. It's anime. So check those out. You'll enjoy them just from a storytelling perspective and just cool subject matter. What about you? What are you pulling out of the vault?
I was pulling out, and this maybe this is something I've talked about before. I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't think I've ever had it as my Vault of Darkness. I think it's just come up in conversation. But The Batman by Matt Reeves from 2022. It is right up there with the Nolan Batman movies for me. I think it's very...
So who plays Batman?
Pattinson, Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this is the film that spawned the excellent Penguin show on HBO Max. I have a little bit of a political problem with Christopher Nolan's movies. There's a sort of Ayn Randian quality to them that I don't love. Matt Reeves, I think his worldview is much closer to my own.
Okay.
And so I find his take on Batman more palatable even, I think, than Nolan's.
So like Nolan's Bruce Wayne is John Galt.
Yeah, like it is sort of like there's this thing if you look at Nolan's view of Bruce Wayne as this sort of the exceptional rich man who can save us, and we need to trust that these sort of exceptional men have our best interest. When reality shows us that you can't trust these sort of people. So I feel like Reeves's Batman movies or movie, there's just the one, just has a worldview that is more in line with my own. And I think Robert Pattinson is every bit as good an actor as Christian Bale. It's hard when you have such an iconic version of the movie to be the next person to do that same role, right?
Oof, man, being as good as the previous Batmans. I thought Bale was a really good Batman. I don't know.
I mean, the only Batman I don't have a ton of affection for actually is George Clooney. Like,
okay.
I even like the Val Kilmer Batman.
I would say I don't like Batfleck very well. I like Val Kilmer better than Batfleck.
Maybe. I guess I just like Batman because I don't seem to ever like when a new Batman comes, I can rock with it and be like, okay, and now he's Batman, and that's fine with me. I don't care if Reacher ends up playing Batman in the DC movies. That's fine with me too.
I mean, although he'd make an excellent Bane.
He would. I think it's time, with all love and respect to Tom Hardy, it's time we actually have a Latino Bane.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The character is supposed to be Latin, and it's always white guys. So, like, Reacher would be a good Bane, no doubt, but
he's not the right guy.
We're ready for a Spanish Bane.
Dave Bautista.
Yeah, he's talked about it. He feels he's aged out of it.
Maybe he's definitely slimmed down. Like, yeah. He's
still jacked.
Yeah, but he's like a jacked 55-year-old. He's not. He's not like the 35 guy you want playing it.
It is hilarious to me, just to do a little tangent, because he's slimmed down, like you said, and he's no longer like a big lumpy muscle man wrestler. Yeah. And the chuds of the internet are like, look what happened to Dave Bautista after the woke mind virus poisoned him, and now he's now he's a beta cuck and not an alpha male anymore. And it's like, okay, let's look at your profile picture, and it's just like a trash bag with a red cap on.
Yeah, like Dave Bautista is still benching 2.5 times his weight.
Yeah.
He just no longer has to maintain false bulk for his profession.
He is still shredded and just not huge.
What a weird male beauty standard that
used to be a real
anybody that someone would criticize Dave Bautista.
It's very weird for a never been to call someone a has been.
Yeah,
but the internet is filled with these people.
That's absolutely true. The internet is oh man.
So if you have not watched Matt Reeves' The Batman yet, I'm recommending it again.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah. I fell off of comic movies a while ago.
Yeah, this is a singular thing. It is not. It's not part of a. It's not part of a cinematic universe.
Oh man,
it's just its own thing. It's not connecting to anything else. It's a little long. It is a 3-hour movie, but it is gorgeous, and it is.
It's like Zack Snyder.
Yeah, but better writing. It is Snyder in length, but it is much better written.
It's higher quality.
Yeah, I have no criticisms about his visual abilities.
I mean, we all saw his fake 40K thing on Netflix.
Yeah, I still haven't watched the second half of that.
I did. It wasn't good.
Yeah. I liked Army of the Dead a lot.
Yeah, that was actually fun.
Because I prefer to light a candle than curse the darkness. Army of the Dead, great Zack Snyder movie.
Man of Steel, right? Like
Man of Steel's good.
That's amazing. That's my favorite Zack Snyder movie, I think.
Dawn of the Dead was also good. When he's working with zombies, I think Snyder is good. 300, come on. Yeah. 300's a classic.
That is a good
also
one.
Loved by the worst kind of men in the world. But I don't hold that against that great movie. So yeah, I'm pulling the Batman out. You're pulling 4 anime movies.
4 anime series. Yeah. You know, you gotta watch something. You gotta have something on in the background while you're doing whatever.
I think it's. I'll tee up one of these for sure.
Kaiju number 8.
Okay, that'll be the first. That's when you say go do it first. Okay.
For you.
Okay.
I would say for other people, it would depend on like if you want wackiness or you want like a video. I don't know.
I think Dan to Dan was higher on my priority list than Kaiju number 8.
I think Lisa would really like Dan to Dan too.
Okay,
so.
that helps. We do need a new both of us show.
It's a fun one.
Okay.
We'd like to thank you for joining the Nightshade Cult.
And until we meet again, we're wishing you unpleasant dreams.